Good evening, everyone. This is Henry, and as we get into the free video for tonight, we've got employment data that is due out tomorrow morning, and you have probably heard it once at least already, and that is a big focus for the market. So understandably, moving into this binary event, there's a little bit of anxiety in the air, and for the most part, I don't know what the numbers will bring. I don't really want to speculate on that. But I do think as long as these 10-year yields continue to rise, you can see during this last, what really was basically unfolding was the move from 3% to 4%. Now that's a very broad stroke view, and a lot happened inside of that. But again, these psychological values I find to be meaningful. So a little bit of a pause of the move into 4%, but the trend is still overwhelmingly bullish. And the reaction here tomorrow should be a little bit more telling, especially in tech, looking that, if this continues to rise, that should put pressure on tech. If it falls, well, then maybe we have a little bit better spot to rally from. And then using that same way of thinking with the dollar. So more of the same here. Notice the symmetry in the dollar, which is just a fascinating way that markets can move, that show from this swing low to this swing high was essentially the same correction you saw through here. So if those corrections are similar, can this advance and the advance that follows be similar? That is the question at hand, but I think there's absolutely potential. So those are two of the most important charts. As long as they remain strong, equities should remain weak. But if you do want to find a spot to try and put something to work to the buy side, I think Netflix could be one of them. And Netflix is an interesting spot because it's the perfect moment in time to consider this trade if you would like to on Friday or even a couple of days next week. But there is a sweet spot where you have a chart that you think, all right, maybe that looks a little bit bullish, but I don't know if I want to just be outright calls. I like the idea of looking at selling the $250 call that expires in 8 days and then buying that same call in the earnings series options. So if we look at this, spread closing right around $9, but we have a situation that isn't perfectly represented here in this toss graph, but essentially look at your price slices and look at your Greeks. This is where I get the most help from this to say, all right, you're establishing a bullish position with 9 points of delta, but it's also going to be positive theta, right? Because as you're buying one option, you're selling the shorter dated, and it's a strategy that can work well into these earnings reports. So the idea would be, in a perfect world, that you take this trade maybe on Friday afternoon. Maybe Netflix is trading somewhere around where it is right now. And then you use a target in time that says, okay, now that I've put this on, I'd like to hold it for 2 to 3, maybe 4 days, right? Because if you hold it all the way into next Friday, that's where you'll try to maximize the short contract in this 14th of Oct. That is maximized at 250, right? Because this is perfectly worthless. And then you have all the value of the 250 call that has moved in your favor and hopefully expanded a little bit because of the rising volatility around the earnings series options. Now, there's no guarantee it all works out that perfectly. The volatility here is already a bit pricey, but you buy it at 93 vol, sell it at 104, something like that. It's the kicker to the directional move. And I think pitting that against some short exposure in the contracts that will not be affected by the rising implied volatility, I think that's a viable strategy. And if you're looking for something to buy, it's one way to get exposure to it. So I hope that is helpful. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Good trading tomorrow. And I will see you at the next free video. Hey traders, this is Henry with simplertrading.com. I wanted to thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. And if so, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you would like to also see me putting these ideas into action and trading my own account live in front of you, be sure to sign up at simplertrading.com, and I hope to see you in the chat room sometime soon.